Hey, hello everyone. Welcome to another episode of Side Draft Media. Man, we've got another one cooking up for y'all right now. We're so excited to bring you guys another guest. We are just stacking them up and knocking them down, Ryan. It's absolutely beautiful. Before we get to our guest, though, of course, I want to shout out our amazing sponsors. We've got Don Tucker's Tucker'd Out Custom Displays. He's got these 3D printed displays for the 124 scale diecast. He can make them any team, any color, anything you're looking for. Reach out to him. He'll take care of you. We'll leave his link down in the description below. So if you want to get your hands on one of these custom made displays, get after it. It'll be down there for you. Also, we got to shout out Adrenaline Rush Collectibles on Facebook. They have been such a wonderful partner to us. They get all sorts of NASCAR memorabilia, diecast, hats, flags, whatever you're looking for. Jump out there and check it out. We'll leave their link down there also for you guys. And Ryan, man, like I was saying there at the beginning, we got another one cooking, bud. What do you got for me today?
Hey, thanks, Don. Yeah, it is always a pleasure to get to do this with you and guests within the NASCAR community, and tonight's no different. Joining us today is a crew member from within the NASCAR community who we feel has another excellent story that's going to be told and heard. I am so excited to hear this. We got the fueler from the 14 of Chase Briscoe and also the 98 of Riley Herbst from Stewart-Haas Racing. Joining us tonight is Corey Coppola. Corey, how we doing?
Doing well.
Oh, it's great to have you here. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. Corey, you're coming from the pit box, and it's exciting to get to have you on here, get your insight and perspective. We've had a fueler on before, but no two stories are the same, and how you got to NASCAR racing. So why don't you share with us and the NASCAR community how you found your way into Victory Lane? Not only Victory Lane last week, but you were there with Riley at Indy this year, and a great story to tell leading up to that. Floor's yours.
All right, it's good. Thank y'all for having me again. So I got into NASCAR kind of the way it's trending today. Like, I played college football at Davidson. I spent 4 years there. Usually people from Davidson are all going to business, banking, that kind of vibe. But I knew from the start that wasn't me. Like, I was doing like my summer jobs. I stayed and worked out for football. I worked at a summer camp for 3 years because I knew I didn't want to be in an office in a cubicle. And then I made some connections through the football program, through guys that graduated before me, trying to get me to internships and all that. I'm like, man, I just don't know if that's really a fit for me, kind of the vibe I want to go into. I've played football since I was 5 years old. I didn't want to put away that competitive side of me and learn how to tame it. I didn't know how I had adjusted that or if I'd like the feeling of it. So going into my senior spring, like that winter break, I was at home. Me and my dad had just had a long conversation because I think you need to figure out what you're going to do. And I was like, Dad, I just don't know, man. I feel like something's going to fall into my lap. Well, I kid you not, maybe like 3 days later, an old strength and conditioning coach, Greg Honeychuck, reached out to me. He goes, hey, man, what do you got going on? I'm like, dude, to be honest, really nothing. Like, I don't know what I'm going to do when it comes to graduation. I'm just trying to get there. He goes, well, I've been in NASCAR for about two or 3 years now. And I'm like, yeah. Like, he goes, would you be interested in like doing the pit crew thing? I was like, man, I've watched a lot of NASCAR. I said my grandfather was a fan of it till senior died. Then we kind of got back into it a little later in life. But I remember with him watching, seeing like every race, every Sunday, no matter what had going on, he had the TV on, sitting back watching practice, qualifying, the race. I just remember being a little kid. I'm like, how do you watch cars go around? Never understood it. And then he passed away when I was 16, so I kind of lost my connection to the sport. But then I was like, I'd give it a shot. I'd come do it. So I got a tryout at Stewart-Haas. They tried me out as a tire carrier. I was 2019. I was still in college. I wasn't very good at 5-nut tire carrying. It took a lot of practice and a lot to be precise with that kind of hanging. So I wasn't very good. Then I was like, you think you could fuel a car? I'm like, well, yeah, I could probably fuel it. So I got into fueling, then a couple of dominoes fell my way, and I got fast tracked to the cup side of things. Like, first fueling gig was 2020. I was doing front row motorsports mixed in with a little other things. I was doing truck, Xfinity, Cup. The Xfinity teams and truck teams are kind of just whatever I can get my hands on just to get practice, get into the sport, get my name out there. And then in 21, my first official Cup season, I was Cole Custer's fueler. 22, I got moved to the 14 of Briscoe. We had a gas man get injured, so our teams got shuffled around there. Had a heck of a season with him in 22. The win in Phoenix, through a heck of a playoff run, man. We were competitive. Like race in and race out. We were always up there, no matter where we were, what track it was. We somehow found our way into the top 5 late in the race with a shot to win it. 23, I got the opportunity to stay with Briscoe. We had a roller coaster of a season, up and down. It's kind of how NASCAR is. It's all about the ride. Like you're on a heater one moment, then the next it's just like getting drugged through cement. It's just like you got to adjust to it. And then 24, we've had some changes here and there. Pretty much the same team from 23 to 24. Great guys, great group of guys. And then we're up on this roller coaster of a season with Chase, and we're biting at the nail to get into the playoffs, and here we are. Yes, but my link to the sport was definitely one that just fell into my lap, thankfully for the connections I made. But now looking at it, I don't think I could see myself doing anything else.
Wow. That is so incredible, man. And real quick, you mentioned chasing the playoffs there towards the end of the season. How big of a difference was it from before the race and after the race? Like that's got to be just a complete whirlwind of emotion, that kind of swing on you guys.
So it was a crazy emotion because I was with Chase for his first win in 22 in Phoenix.
Nice.
And that was emotional. That was my first win. And then got really close. Like we had some changes in that season with pit crews and stuff, and kind of had the same team towards the end of 22. Then we all got together in 23. Didn't get the chance to get a win because it's really difficult to win in NASCAR. Like some people are really get a luck of the draw and get a couple more wins than others, but it's a really hard thing to do. So got to spend all year 23 with these guys. 24 came around, and we're like, man, I was like, with us shutting down, I was like, I would love to be able to get one more win with these guys. Like, I want to go to victory lane one more time with these guys. And once you know the weight got lifted off our shoulders, Chase runs like crazy for all race in the top 3 all day. We pit out of our minds, and then we end up in victory lane. It was just there were so many emotions all around. I didn't really know how to react, to be honest. Like there's some videos of me, and I'm like, I don't know what, like almost Ricky Bobby. With my hands.
I love it.
Yeah, that is great. Al, I mean, we saw you guys, and rightfully so, celebrated that win to the wee hours of the next morning. That's it's just awesome though. It just goes to show how much that type of stuff means to you guys, how invested you guys really are. I mean, not only is it your livelihood, but it becomes your passion and all that stuff that comes with it. And, I'm sure the drama, like you said, of shutting down this year and the added pressures that may or may not have added. But I mean, I'll tell you, you and Stewart-Haas as a whole has really just stepped up. I mean, regardless of whatever was said, whatever the media puts out there, you guys have just shown up and performed this year. And it's been impressive because you can tell there's been absolutely zero quit from anybody back at SHR. And that's just a testament to the men and women working there, like yourself,
That really is a beautiful thing when you have such a huge announcement in the middle of your season, and a lot of people left that meeting not really sure what they were going to go through or what was going to happen with them. And you guys just grabbed it and said, nah, we're not about that. We're putting our heads down and we're going to go get some wins. And sure enough, you got Chase in the playoffs. Congratulations on that. Also, that's just incredible, man. It's really awesome that you said you got your first win with Chase and you were able to get another one like you wanted. That's absolutely beautiful, man.
Yeah. I feel blessed, and like the men and women of Stewart-Haas, man, they are grinders. They don't quit when faced with adversity. They didn't just back away or step away from it. Like, we'll figure it out next year. They stepped up like, we're going to leave this place better than we found it, and we're going to leave in the tradition that Stewart-Haas has always had with some wins under our belt and hang some banners for the last time.
There you go.
Yeah, that's the only approach you really can take, and
Yep.
I'm glad that especially in racing, it's a competitive sport, and you got to fire away. Now, I wanted to mention and play back a little bit into your football. You played I did my homework correctly, you were a defensive tackle. So you're bodying men on the football gridiron, and now you're bodying gas cans. I mean, like, can you tell me, and in comparison, what your training is like playing at a high level college football versus a high level competitive pit stop? What type of work do you do differently or the same even when you were training for football to now? Speaking of the athleticism that it takes to do this job.
I feel like for me as a fueler, it's a lot of the same because I'm used to pushing 320, 310 pounders around in the trenches all game. So like I had a lot of strength, a lot of stability, and be able to move and toss heavy weight around. So for me, the strength and conditioning side is very similar. I'd say the biggest comparison, the difference between the two is like football, you have the next play. And they kind of do in NASCAR too, but the emphasis on messing up that in a NASCAR race and a game is insane. Like if I get drugged down pit road, if I feel the car runs outside the box, we're talking about going multiple laps down rather than like gaining 2 or 3 spots or losing 2 or 3 spots.
Right.
That side of things crazy. Also, the pace at which it happens, man. Like football is kind of like bang, bang. Like you're on to the next one. You're just on to the next one. You know you have to stop them that drive. You got at least 4 plays.
Right.
Or when it comes to it, we are flying around with our heads cut off for 10 seconds. Under 10 seconds, to be honest. Under 10 seconds of mayhem. You're sitting there like, oh, you don't know when the cars come back down after you finish the stop. So you have to get your job done as quick and to the best of your ability because you don't want to be the reason you have to come back down and cost the race. So it's wild to go from that, like, oh, hey, I messed up that one. We'll get the next one, like, literally 24 seconds later on the next snap to, am I going to see the car again? Is it coming down? Or are we going to have to repit? Am I going to cost us this race? Like, it's just a wild difference there.
Yeah. And that is, that is insane. I mean, obviously they are completely different sports and those comparisons are great, athleticism wise. I mean, so you basically stuck with your training regimen then to maintain what you were doing to get yourself in this position?
Yeah, for the most part, pretty much just like all the strength, like squats, deadlifts, benching, all that to help me. And I do a little bit of more mobility work because I have to be able to move in a little different directions. Like use a little bit different muscles now than I did when I was hand down, other than shuttling kind of backwards and forth towards the car. But yeah, for the most part, my strength and conditioning is a little bit the same. I probably would say I am a little healthier now than I was in college because I was one of those kids that came into college. I was a linebacker and a running back, and then I found my way playing 3-tech. I was 230, 240 coming into college. They're like, hey, you need to put on some weight. So I hit 260 naturally. But when you're 260 and you're taking on 320, 310-pound double teams, it's not a lot of fun. Like you get pushed more than you like to be a man and admit it. But I was like, all right, you know what? I'm going to gain a little more weight. So I was like, all right, let's just pack it on. And I hit 280. Was like, okay, let's see if we can just go. I'm at 280. I might as well put on another 20 and go 300. But I'll tell you, that was the grossest I've ever been in my life was a 300. Like I was eating, I'd probably say 6,000 plus calories a day.
Oof,
man.
But I loved it though because like you go to cookout and you knew like, oh, I got to put the weight on or I'm gonna lose it all. So I'd have like 2 cookout trays, a large drink, and a milkshake. Like it was great. My knees and my ankles cut. I was like, dude, I don't know if I can't keep that up. I have to lose that. So luckily NASCAR keeps me in shape and keeps me on the healthier side of things.
Well, that's a bonus. Taking care of your body is definitely important, as I found out later in life, but and you're also not taking the hits that you were hopefully not, at least in NASCAR, not taking any hits. Like you are for 4 consecutive plays or whatever it may be on a football field. So that certainly is a bonus. Now, can you tell us though? So your assignment in the pit box, obviously you're fueling a car. How much does a loaded fuel can weigh? And how does that training? Do you train actually with something to simulate holding a fuel can while you do those movements? And I'm just curious because I'm not sure exactly how much movement you have once you come over the wall with that can.
So basically the cans are 12 to 13 gallon cans. They usually have about 12 and a half in them. They weigh anywhere from 90 to 100 pounds, depending on the can and which team is making what. Cans tend to weigh a little bit different, so cans tend to weigh a little more. I like the heavier cans at 13 gallons because it just makes your job a little easier when you need one can stop and pack it full. It just makes sure you get it packed. But practice-wise, yeah, we have mock cans. We have like actual old fueling cans. They're capped on one end, and they're filled with water, so the water can't leak into the car and get to the gas tank. So they're capped, and we have them to the weight. We have one to the weight of a full can, and one to the weight of what it would be like after you dump. So when we had to practice shuttling, like getting can exchanges, I can go from what a can's supposed to weigh during an exchange, like after I've engaged, to when I pull it out to get the next one. We have a can that weight. I go grab a full can and practice getting it back as quick and as smooth as I can. So yeah, we practice what we use at the racetrack. Same heads, same weights. I'd say the tricky part is it's not like the cans sound heavy, like 100 pounds doesn't sound that bad. But when you make it 6 feet long and you have to carry it above your shoulders and it's water weight, man, and it's every step you take, it moves in a different direction. That's the challenging part. Is how can I move really quickly, really smoothly, be clean, and counter something that's above my head, want to slosh back and forth and sway me every which way. So that's the challenging part too, and it's fun. Like the guys give me some stuff sometimes about, oh, you have the easiest job, and you hand in the can and they struggle like sewer rats trying to get it engaged because they don't understand like how much you're moving, how high the cars are, how fast it happens, and all that.
Yeah,
that's so interesting. I was curious, and I'm sorry, Ryan. I was curious. We got an idea of Matthew Kemp and what his preference was on Xfinity versus Cup. Do you have a preference on which car you like to be on as far as fueling?
So I'm a Cup guy. I think the Cup side of things are a little bit. I don't know if it's I'm more focused during that or what it is, but I've always felt like Cup racing, I can hit that thing so clean. When it comes to Xfinity, man, like I'm like half an inch too short. So like it's more comfortable. The height of that Xfinity side is like if I was half an inch taller, it'd be easy. It'd be just like Cup, but I'm missing it by half an inch. So the engagements are kind of all over the place. Like I'm a lot better at it now than I was when I first started, man. Xfinity used to take my lunch money. Like 20 clips of me in the team room in a folder of me not like struggling to plug a car. I'm like first week's in. But now I'm pretty decent at it. They went to those 9-gallon cans. I'm not the biggest fan of them, but to each their own. That's what Kemp liked. That's what he likes. But I like the 12-gallon cans. Let me make sure the car gets 12 gallons in it. Don't have to do as many shuttles and things like that. But I'm definitely a Cup side of things, guy.
And I'm glad we asked because Kemp actually prefers the Xfinity because Kemp is a little bit taller. So I'm going to take a guess. I would say 6'3" would be your – okay, so Matt being 6'4", he likes the Xfinity because he's a little bit taller. So it makes perfect sense.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like I don't know. I've always liked the Cup side of things better. I think it's the angle makes it a lot easier for me to hit.
Right. Awesome.
Yeah. That's incredible insight. And we're talking about 6'3" and 6'4". Those are you're tall people, and but yet that 1 inch makes a difference on preference of how you like. Now let's talk about the Xfinity side of things for a few minutes. You're having a good season over there, the 98 crew and Riley Herbst. The double zeros coming off of a championship season. They still look like they could be in championship form. And I'll tell you what, you guys look like you can be there right there with them in the Final Four at Phoenix come November. What do you feel as far as the Xfinity side of things versus the Cup side of things? Being on how I should say, what's the emotion you're feeling knowing that you already know you're in the playoffs this weekend at Atlanta, but what is that feeling knowing that you have a 98 team that is very capable of making a strong run in the postseason as well, being known that you're locked in with that incredible finish we saw out at Indy, and we would love to talk about that as well. But how's that emotion playing in for you guys, knowing that you get to do it in 2 different series and you're locked in both of them?
I feel like that's weird. It's definitely a different kind of emotion because like you're saying, like we've been locked into the Xfinity side of things since Indy, and we've been competitive on the 98 for a while now. Like I've been with Riley. This is going on my 3rd season now, and I went through his first season was ups and downs for sure. Second season, man, we were dominant, but we had a crew chief change real late there and went through the summer drought, what we like to call it. We had a stretch of some races that kind of knocked us out of just barely missing reaching for the playoffs there. And then we had that crew chief change. And towards the end of it, we were on a heck of a run, finishing top 5 and I think like 3 or 4 of the last 5 races, and went on a stretch there that would have been competitive in the playoff run of things. They go into this season, man. We started out hot, fell short a couple races, had the fuel incident in Atlanta, which was insane that all the Fords, we all ran out at the same time between 6 different gas, man. We all happened to be a quarter of a lap difference in each other between 6 of us. So that was a tough pill to swallow, but man, we're really competitive. I love it. It's a different kind of vibe, man, because we've been running up front, had a lot of chances this year. Just the dominoes haven't fell our way. So that's kind of like we're locked in. We know like when we show up on Saturdays, we're there to be competitive, and everything we do has an impact on us having a chance at the end, having a shot to get Riley back into victory lane. But lucky for me, I was able to be a part of Riley's first win in Vegas, that was insane. He dominated that entire race, and then the Indy race hit home for me. Like that's one of the tracks that I wanted to win at. Like that's one of the tracks that I was like, dude, I would love to get a win here. I wanted to kiss the bricks. I wanted to climb the fence, and to get to do that, man, it was incredible. My emotions were all over the place. Like I called my dad at home. I was like, Dad, I got to do it. I got to do the thing that I really wanted to do was kiss the bricks and climb the fence. So I was over the moon excited about that one. Knowing it launched in the playoffs, and we're ready to see we can't give those 0-0 guys a run for their money because they like to poke and me because they're my front changer, my rear changer on the 14 having to pit for those guys. So they little ride here and there about them coming off a championship season and all that. But I hope we can be us in 0-0, end up making the championship. We have a good competitive race there for the ship.
It would be absolutely incredible to see both of those teams make the Final Four, and not to discredit Chase on the Cup side, man. It'd be awesome to see him make a deep playoff run this year.
That's definitely the hope is for Chase is to stay lights out like he was in Darlington and let us make that one final run for all the SHR employees, for Tony, and then that'd be amazing, man. Like we're on the Cup side of things, man. My emotions are gonna be all over the place. Like every weekend, we're pretty much gonna be like that Cinderella story, riding the lightning and taking swings at things that probably most sane people wouldn't take a swing at. But that's what we got to lose.
Yeah. Now you spoke of the Atlanta fuel situation, and being that you're a fuel man, I was actually planning on asking that question. How do you guys, now I know there's a lot that goes into it, right? And a lot of it may even be out of your control, but how do you communicate with your crew that's in the pit box to make sure situation like that you guys aren't set up for another situation like that at Atlanta again this weekend?
So pretty much me is like, so if we have a fuel stop like that, like a long one that's going to take an extra second, I'll look at everybody on pit road, on pit wall, pit crew wise, be like, hey, it's going to be on my head. So you're waiting for me to shake my head, and then we'll drop the car and go. From my job standpoint, I just have to make sure it's clean, like no wet vents and anything like that. Make sure my engagement's clean, getting to the cars at a decent pace. I don't wet in the second can. I make sure it packs and bubbles all the way out to make sure we don't run into that same situation that we ran into. And on top of the box, our engineers and our crew chief are looking at me and telling me exactly how many gallons, how many seconds of flow we need, so that way I'm fully prepared for that kind of stuff again.
And it's absolutely incredible that you have all of that figured out beforehand. I mean, obviously y'all are professionals, but to know the exact amount of fuel you're getting in or how much you want to get in for a specific run, that kind of stuff is just awesome to me.
Yeah. Now, I want to
go ahead.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. You go ahead. I'll ask my question after.
The fuel numbers are crazy. Like you take a race like Atlanta or Talladega or Daytona, and you can go off of a number you're getting, but if you make it to the front, man, that number gets tossed out the window. You don't know how much fuel you're burning leading the pack, but it's all over the place, man. You just got to be prepared. Like a run can go from you needing 9.5 to you needing 11 just by taking the lead of a race and getting pushed and having to run full throttle more than pack and throttle and half throttle and saving fuel. So it's just wild. It's all over the place, but they're really prepared. They know what they're doing. They give me numbers and I get them everything I can get them.
I love that.
As a fuelman, do you have a preference? Do you prefer that they just ride out in the back a little bit and keep it clean and keep it 50% throttle for longer than not, or what do you like to see? Because I'm sure there's the fuel man saying, "Man, make my job a little easier," but then of course the race fan saying, "Go get them."
So see, I would like to say that I like when they save it because I don't have to be plugged in as long, and it doesn't slow down stops as much. But like when we make those long runs, it's like on the Cup side of things with the way the 2 extra gallons, the speed at which pit stops are now, it's like you're waiting on fuel at that point. So that's kind of a bummer. You're like, these guys just could lay down a blistering record-setting stop, and we have to wait for 18 gallons of fuel, which is going to take 10.5 to 11 seconds. So you're like, dang, you kind of feel like, dang, that's the competitive nature. Like, dang, I just let the boys down. But in reality, it's like I'm giving it everything I can, and the way things are set up, it's just not plausible to get 18 gallons of fuel in 8.5 to 9 seconds. So
it's got that range of emotion of wanting to do something, but it's out of your control. And so you just kind of got to live with the results.
Yeah, you just got to live it. Now look at them all the time. We'll be on a tear on pit stops. And they're like, I look at them and say, "Sorry, boys, we got to wait on fuel on this one." Everybody's like, "We're not waiting." I'm like, "Okay, that's fine with me. We just won't finish the race." But especially like races like this, we call it Fuelman races. It's the ones that our jobs are actually have a lot of value on them in these weeks.
They're at the top of the totem pole, my friend.
Totem pole these weeks, and it's nice. I enjoy it. Now the racing side of me, I'd rather run up front. I like leading the race, taking it in your hands, and we'll play the cards as they're done after that.
Now, I wanted to ask, playing into we're staring at Atlanta right ahead of us, but following that is the road course of Watkins Glen. How much does your job change on a road course where the pit stop is backwards? How much does your focus, obviously getting the car full of fuel is the same, but how much does your routine change on a backwards pit stop like we'll see at Watkins Glen?
It changes a lot. It's kind of like sitting in a mirror, if that makes sense. So I'm used to stepping with my left foot and leading with my left foot all the way to the car, and now I have to turn around, lead with my right foot. It's like my steps are different. They're off. It's like you feel goofy. It just feels you feel like you're learning to walk again every time we go backward stops. And then you go from having all the room for when they come around the car to your side to now I have to make sure that I'm leaving enough room for me not to block the tire carrier out of the way so you can hang the tire, and me not move enough that I break a seal on the car side and wet vent, which causes the stop to be slower, the fuel rate to be slower. So it's like a fine line, man. I feel goofy and like a toddler, man. You got a lot of things like the overhead sign. You have to make sure it's out of the way. You have to make sure your can hander and can catcher don't get flip-flop. He's usually on the left for normal stops. He's on the right for backwards. So it's just a lot of different things that go into it, and it's fascinating, but it's just I feel goofy and feel like a toddler when I have to go back. That's the only downside of it, but I enjoy it. It's a challenge, and it's like when you look up and down pit road, everybody's kind of in the same boat. They're like, "Man, it's backwards again. Here we go."
Now, is it easier on the Xfinity car versus the Cup car on a backward stop? And like as far as for you, or are all those objects still the same? As I know you said that the Cup car is a little bit more of your preference as far as fueling's concerned. Does that make it a little bit easier on the Cup side, or does it really not matter?
It's about the same. The difference is like a little bit less out of the way because the cans in the Xfinity are a little smaller, so you don't have to worry about as much above your shoulder hitting and things like that. But it's still about the same drive. You still feel goofy. It's weird aiming a little higher right-footed when you jump that one. I have to jump to hit the left side sometimes. It's like it's a little different, but it's about the same, man. Everything's just backward. You still feel it's like goofy. I feel goofy on normal Xfinity stops. So feeling just even a little extra goofy when it comes to Xfinity backward stops.
Now on the to reference some football, when you guys go into a situation that may be a little bit more uncomfortable as a pit crew, do we pull back to the two-a-days? I don't know what your training regimen's like, but do you guys practice a little bit more on these pit stops when you know that they're a little bit different and maybe a little bit more uncomfortable?
We practice pretty much the same all the time. Like we make sure we cover all the scenarios, like fuel stops in Daytona, Talladega, long fuel runs. We cover it all. Like we practice the same, but we'll have a car. We practice on a live car, so we have a car that's set up to mimic what our car is going to look like at the racetrack. So it's very close, and tires going up, coming out, how high the jack posts are, and all that. And it's mimicked perfectly. So we'll run backward stop, and we'll practice 2 days a week for about an hour and a half. Do 10 to 20 stops backwards just to make sure we're comfortable with it and know everything is going to go smoothly. We'll cover all the basics. We'll cover normal stops. We'll cover the long fuel stops. We'll do the 1-can stops, 2-can stops to make sure we're comfortable in that spacing between me, the carrier, and the changer. And it's pretty practiced and pretty well covered, just like our usual week-to-week basis.
Do you have a favorite pit stop that just stands out in your career? It doesn't matter what series, Xfinity, whatever the case may be. Is there a pit stop that you nailed so hard that your team still might talk about it today?
I would say there's 3 of them. We 23 we set the record for the fastest recorded 4-tire and fuel.
Nice.
And that one will always hold a special place. We set that record. Then 22 for me is we sent when Chase won in Phoenix, he came down third. We sent him out first.
Nice.
And I'm gonna have to tip my hat to the last one this weekend with in Darlington. To my guys, they busted tail, and we almost got the 5 on pit road to go out first, but we maintained. But that one was pretty special for me and the boys right now because we've been going through a little ups and downs, and it was nice to be able to lay that down and be competitive there at the end and keep us in it and give us a chance and give Chase a chance to show what he's made of.
And I'm glad you brought up Darlington because that was such a special race for Chase, and it's a perfect example of what we're representing at Side Draft Media. If you guys on pit road aren't getting Chase out, because he was driving his butt off. Chase drove a heck of a race. Just man,
I mean, I appreciate it. It was a ride, and it's like that's the one race that you kind of know that you're going to do a lot of pit stops.
Right.
Black is the one place that no matter how you're running, it's going to chew tires up. It's going to put you in positions, and you know you're going to have one bad stop. You know, somewhere in there you're going to have a hiccup, and the 9 to 12 stops you do, you're going to have a hiccup, and it's how you bounce back from it. We had a hiccup on the first stop. Luckily, it was green flags. So we didn't cost anything. But for us to bounce back and keep him maintained the whole day, it was just a great thing. It was we needed that as a team. It helped us. And I was telling some of the guys, like, that situation where you're trying to maintain or gain, you come in one spot and you gain or lose. I mean, that's our pride directly. That's us as competitors. That's on us. Like, Chase driving his tail off for us and us tossing him on pit road, man, that weighs heavy on our shoulders. So we're trying our best to not let that happen. And it worked out for us that weekend. And it worked out perfectly the way Chase drove all weekend. We were able to keep him in the top 3. And he put it on the line for us and ended up coming home to victory lane. We're hoping he can do that 10 more times this year.
Man, just incredible.
Now, can you tell us where you were at mentally when you saw Chase at Darlington drop below, take it 3 wide, that awesome aggressive move to go take the lead and really kind of pin the 5 car, who we had seen be totally dominant all day. I mean, really, the 5 had some nasty speed out there this past weekend. Just seemed like he was on a Sunday cruise for a while, and then you guys were like right below him as far as consistency in the lap data, throughout the entire race. It's just, what was the emotion like when you saw your driver go out there and do that, and then having to hold off Rowdy Bush at the end of that race? to bring it home and seal that win for you guys?
I would say, man, we were kind of like, you're on edge the whole race running like that, man. You're like, dude, do we have a shot to win this? Like, are we actually going to keep up here? Are we going to pull this off, run what you would call a perfect race? And I guess it kind of kicked in for me is when the 5 got that big lead on one of the green flag cycles, we started to catch him and we got all the way to him right before the pit cycle hit. Pit cycles hit, we get Chase out there, we get a little gap between us. I'm like, oh man, here we go again. And then we had that caution, and it kind of set in for me that we were going to win it. Like, I'm like, what it set in for me is when we had that caution and the one stayed out, the caution before the move, and we sent him out and we kept him right behind the 5. I was like, we're going to win this race. I looked at our murder changer Dakota. I said, dude, we're going to be in victory lane tonight. We're not going to get home until 6 a.m.
Called it. I love it.
It's a great feeling. And then to come to the end of the race, like our front tire changer's been in the sport forever. We stay out, which I love that call. We stay out. I look at our front tire changer. You see the 8 takes a fresh set of tires. We've had 6 laps on our tires. We know it's Darlington. I look at him. Our front changer's been in the sport forever now. I look at Shane. I'm like, man, like, what's the real difference in tires here? Like, how many laps do we need to be worried? He's like, 6 green flags, you shouldn't have an issue. Like, you need 10 or 12. Or you watch the restart, they gets all the way to third in turn 1, coming out of turn 2, blows the 20 doors off. I looked at my front changer, it's like, you lied to me. And then for 20 laps, me and him were just watching the TV, looking at each other. And then when we crossed the line, he came up and hugged me. He's like, man, I told you to work out. I was like, you still lied to me. And the 12 laps was a lie.
Man.
Yeah, I will say that the tire fall off we've been seeing at some of these tracks, especially a track like Darlington, where it is a little bit more gritty and sandy and things of that manner. We have seen the fall off be there. I will say this in his defense, on those scrub tires like you guys were on, basically, you scrub the set of tires, basically. You had 5-6 laps on them, and versus, some fresh ones, there was that point where they equalized a little bit. And I think we saw that with the 8 car, because he was running really, really hard to try to catch you guys. Now, obviously, we know Chase was running hard too, because I saw him get a couple Darlington stripes, trying to keep the lead. But it all worked out in the end, obviously, for you guys. Rowdy just couldn't close enough, or just didn't have enough laps for him to make a difference and get to you guys. So again, congratulations. I'm sure that raw emotion, seeing him cross the line. And as we know, it's very valid. You guys were there till 6 a.m.
I got back home at 6. It was good. It was just a great to be with all those guys. And we had a lot of people get their first Cup wins. Our crew chief, 2 pit crew members got their first Cup wins. We had our tire specialist who got his 50th win. So there's a lot of big moments.
That is
that
wild.
Added on to the emotional roller coaster.
Talk to us a little bit about when Chase has the lead and Rowdy Kyle Busch is hunting him down. We all know what Rowdy's capable of. We know his accomplishments. But as pit crew members, you're watching a veteran, a 2-time champion, chase down your guy. What are you guys thinking? What are you guys feeling in that moment?
Man, your stomach's in knots, man. It's like, especially after Daytona, when he had a chance to move the 21 for the win and he didn't, and he came on the radio because I had a chance and I didn't, but that's not going to happen again. And you sit there, Rowdy, like, I'm a fan of Rowdy. He's like, he love his competitive edge. Like, it's like a lot of people don't, but it's fresh. I enjoy it. Like, I enjoy being competitive.
Kyle Busch is special, man.
That all wins. So when he's behind you catching, you're like, man, if he gets to us, he's going to move us. So, win. It's if he gets to us, he's going to move us out of the way and get us in. Luckily, Chase just floored it and kept him away. He couldn't get close enough to get a bumper to us. But, yeah, knots, man. Your stomach's in knots when you're getting chased by someone like that. You're like, come on, 14 more. Just 13 more. Just 12 more. Just keep going. Come on. Get to 5/10. Cut it down to 2. Come on, get back to 4/10. Let's get out. Let's put the peace signs out the window and check out. Come on.
I love it, man. I absolutely love it.
Now, moving ahead, you guys are in the playoffs, as we know. Huge for you guys. We go into the ultimate crapshoot to start the playoffs, which is Atlanta, because it is a plate race, so to speak. In the sense, it's not as big as Daytona and Talladega, but it's pack racing, and if you guys can avoid the mess that Atlanta may bring, as far as the big one or whatever you want to call it. Honestly, I mean, looking at Watkins Glen and going into Bristol, one of Chase's better tracks, how do you guys feel about advancing into the next round? You got to have some confidence coming off this win, knowing that there's a good chance that you guys could point your way into that next round.
I'm hoping like the confidence at the all time high. I'm hoping to get like 22 did when he got his first win, that he just found something within himself to keep being competitive week in and week out. Atlanta, like you're saying, the big one. I'd say the tough thing about Atlanta is like you can't ride it like you do a Daytona or a Talladega, because you can't go in Atlanta from 21st through the pack and get first. Atlanta's one of those fine lines. Like, man, you have to stay up front the whole day. You have to hope it's the big one. You got to stay in the front of the pack. It's really hard to pass there. It's one of those difficult places. Like, yeah, it's plate racing, but it's a different kind of passing than normal plate racing is. So, like that, I'm glad they figured out they've driven a little better the last couple of times than the first time they had made a land in the plate race. But it's a lot of fun. But it's one of those you have to be up front and run competitively. And coming to Bristol, man, Chase is always short. He's good on short tracks, man, and I'm excited to see if we can put ourselves in situations. I think we can point in. I'm more in the boat of let's get a win and make sure we're into the next round. But
naturally,
pointing in's fine too. But I'd rather get that win and get ready for the round of 12, and then get a win in the round of 12 and get ready for the 8 all the way to the championship in Phoenix.
Well, we've seen Briscoe do it before. You were part of it, so you know better than we do. That it is very much possible. You catch heat at the right time, just like any sport. Momentum can sometimes carry you, give you that extra shot, jolt you need. So we are definitely pulling for you. Especially a bunch of you guys have come onto the show. It's great to hear. Even though the story may sound a little bit alike, the story is different because it's a different perspective. And, you all have your different emotion and such to it. Now we go into the Xfinity side of things. You got a little bit yet until the round of 12 starts in the Xfinity series. You'll be basically in the Cup side of things into your next round of postseason already. Does that mess with you a little bit, having that off balance between the two series, or does it really not make much of a difference because you're going after for wins anyway?
I don't think it changes for me much. It's like I look at them all the same. Is I want to be as competitive as I can be every stop, and I want to get a chance to win every race. And that's as best I mean. I know that's not realistic, but it's a little different because like you're like all tuned up and ready to dig and the Cup side of things, because like, hey man, the next races are really vitally important. Like we have to make sure the fuel is good, make sure tires are tight, make sure we don't take ourselves out of it, and then get to the Xfinity. You're like, well, we're locked in. Like, we're going to shoot to go for a win. Let's get better in the points here, get some wins, get some knowledge on the tracks, and see what we can do for cars in the future to prepare for the playoff run. So it's a little bit different of a vibe, and it's different mentality because you're going out to dead set to win, and then you come Sundays, you have to be perfect. You're pushing that fine line on the edge of being like, hey, let's go get some more wins on the Xfinity side of things. Cup's like, we want the win, but you also are like, hey, we need to get some stage points here and there. Let's get some points. We can't just not get points and then try to get into the next round, or we'd be in the same situation come Bristol that we were in come Darlington. So it's just a little different mindset, and it's a little different vibe. But overall, I think both are kind of the same to me. I treat them both the same. Be competitive, be as clean, be as smooth as I can be day in and day out.
Yeah. I mean, that's a great mindset to have, and just stay focused and know that one race at a time, and that's really all you can do. You can't race ahead, certainly. I mean, because there's just too many variables outside of your control, and that's got to kill you too. Not knowing, because I mean, you could be having an excellent day, but somebody else on the track can ruin that for you. So I mean, it's just too much to worry about outside of what's in your control. So. I mean, you just go out and get it. And, I love that approach from you. Now, I just want to talk ahead because you had mentioned about how special this was, knowing that Stewart-Haas Racing is no more after this year. It will be the Haas factory team. There will be, so it's a new team, but some of the same pieces. One Cup car. We know Cole Custer will be driving that, and then there's going to still be 2 Xfinity cars. We know the drivers have been announced for that as Sheldon Creed and Sam Mayer. How about Corey though? Where's Corey's 2025 plans come into this? Will you still be a part of Haas factory team, or is there something new in store for you in the NASCAR world?
There's something new in store for me. I did a lot of thinking about it, and then when it came down, I wasn't for sure what was going to happen. Like when we found out we were shutting down, I didn't know what was going to happen, if I was to be in the sport anymore, if what was all going on. But I luckily got a good deal from a place that I knew that felt like it was great for my next step in life. Like I felt like I'm gonna fit the mold they've created. I feel like I'm gonna fit into what they're trying to do. And luckily, I got signed on to 2311 to be on Jordan and Denny's team. I have no idea what I'm going to be doing over there yet, like car-wise or anything like that. But I got lucky enough that they like the stuff they've seen. They like what they've heard about me up and down pit road. So I'm blessed to be able to sign with them and continue my career in the NASCAR side of things.
And congratulations on such an incredible opportunity. I mean, a lot of people know that 2311 is one of the up and coming teams, dare I say, powerhouses in the NASCAR world. And so that's just an absolutely beautiful opportunity that you've reached and earned, obviously.
Yeah, that's incredible, Corey. Congratulations. That is, that's a testament to your hard work. Obviously, this is a result-driven sport, and results and performance definitely matter. And the fact that you get that opportunity to, not only continue your career in NASCAR, but to go to one of those up and coming teams that really just in 4 years has shown so much growth, to the fact that they won a regular season championship this year with one of their entries. That's just incredible. And by the way, that team as a team has won a race every single year that they've been in the sport. I mean, that just doesn't happen by accident. You know how hard it is being in the sport to win a race. So that's incredible. So I'm really excited for you and your opportunity going forward. You see that 2311 display in the back, and our dude Don Tucker could hook you up with one in the future if you want to start your diecast collection. Do you collect diecast?
Are you a collector?
So I've started this thing where I'm not gonna collect them like driver based. I'm gonna collect them cars that I worked on.
That's awesome. Nice. I love that. That makes sense.
In that car, I'm gonna have the driver sign the windshield, and I'm gonna have the guys that I worked with sign their spot on the car. So that way,
I love it.
I'd be out of sports, and I'm showing like grandkids or my kids, like, oh look, this is when I pitted. This was 2024 when I pitted with these guys, and get to tell stories that way. So I'm slowly getting there. I've got one in the belt that I decided to start doing it last year. I've got one, and then I'm gonna start collecting those. I might have to look up your guys, see if we can't do something with the little winning memorabilia stuff.
Yeah,
that's probably my next step, is to get that stuff from the 2 Xfinity wins, the 2 Cup wins, get it all, be able to display it in one place.
And we'll definitely keep in touch, and we'll make sure and get some ideas of what you're looking for, and we'll get one of these things set up for you, man. That would be awesome.
Yeah, we know we've been fortunate to make some great connections, with this Side Draft Media show and Side Draft Media, to where some people that work in memorabilia, whether it be these beautiful displays, whether it be diecast, whether it be even stuff coming from shops all around NASCAR. We've been able to make those connections, and that's a beauty of getting to do this, I guess. But we'll certainly help you out any way we can going forward, because we want to help a fellow collector, because oh man, I'll tell you, as a fan, diecast can be an expensive hobby, but for you guys, it makes sense to kind of have a piece, like it's like a trophy, the 124 scale cars are big, and that's that's a nice trophy to have as a token or a memory. I'm sure all the memories you see coming back from it. If cars, like you said, cars you worked on, and I'm sure you had to go on Lionel's website and order that race win from Darlington.
I haven't done it yet. That's on the agenda. I'm definitely getting that one for this season. That one's that car for this year.
No, I saw the thing on the hood. They have the milkshake splash.
Oh man,
can you explain that about? I know we're getting close on time. Can you give us the milkshake story real quick?
We get to Victory Lane, and the cookout people are there, and they hand us the milkshake, which makes sense now. I didn't really know why they're handing us milkshakes, but it all adds up now. But we open it, we're thinking I'm thinking of something we're going to throw, and I open it, and I'm like, it's a milkshake. So I take a sip of it. I'm like, this is different. I was expecting some sort of liquid to throw in the driver, and luckily we didn't. I was going to be a real head case. But I couldn't get anybody else on board with me. I was like, yeah, let's just get everything real sticky here and just start chucking milkshakes. But milkshakes, we had everybody that was in Victory Lane got a milkshake. It was a good add-on, but man, it was a mess. I had milkshake all over my cookout hat. It was a good time. I had to put that thing in the dishwasher when I got home. I had to make sure it was clean to go on the shelf.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. I was just wondering about that because I saw the milkshake all over the one side of the hood on the diecast photos. I'm like, oh man, I'm sure there's a story about this. So I'm glad you could shine some light on that for us, man. That's awesome. But yeah, like I said, I know we're cutting it on time. Corey, thank you so much for taking time out of your evening to come spend the night with us here at Side Draft Media and tell your wonderful story. I tell this to everybody, but you are family now. You're welcome back anytime. We hope that you get to build on your stories and we get to hear about them.
I appreciate it. Thank you guys for having me.
Man,
absolutely.
And from everybody, like Ryan was saying, just thank you. We love that you were able to join us and know moving forward that you guys have a cheering section, a fan section, and we're rooting for you, man. It's been awesome rooting for the guys that we've had on the show. And now we get to root for another one. And Corey, we just can't thank you enough, man. Truly, from everybody.
I appreciate it. And hopefully we can keep it going because I know y'all talked to Dakota before we won in Darlington. So let's hope we keep that tradition alive and well. And let's get
absolutely, man. We're here for it, and we're rooting you on, man.
There you go. You got 2 shots at it this weekend, so
Sir.
Yeah. All right, Corey. You have yourself a great night, and thank you once again. We really appreciate it. You take care. Have a great race this weekend and safe flight out there.
Thank you.
Take care, bud. Thank you.
Don, man, these stories just keep getting better and better. I feel like, we get all these little fun nuances that you don't get on regular NASCAR media. And this is, this is just so fun to be able to talk with, insiders within industry experts, we're going to call them because they're the ones that are living, breathing, and, blood, sweat, and tears inside the pit boxes and over the wall or behind the seat of these things. And it's just, man, I feel so blessed to be able to get to do this with you and Nathan and, the men and women that are willing to come on here and just take a second out of their life to share it with us.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. You nailed it right on the head, man. Every time we have a new guest, I just get even more ramped up to cheer for these guys and just wish them well in their journeys because you see how passionate, you see how much they care about their craft, about their talent, about how much they care about their drivers and how much they take it personal if they lose just one spot on pit road. That to me is so incredible because you just see how much it means to them. I can't wait to keep doing this with you guys. Nathan, of course, behind the scenes. You, Ryan, with Side Draft Media, myself. Thank you again to Corey. Everybody else, I hope you enjoyed the episode. Make sure you drop a like. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you tell us what you think about Corey and his visit. We love to hear you guys and engage with you guys about everybody that's visiting us. Man, just absolutely blown away. I'm looking forward to race weekend now. And man, it's going to be a great one, Ryan.
Absolutely. And just to hammer on what you said, share this with your friends. Like, subscribe. Everywhere. We're on Facebook. We're on Instagram. We're on X. We're on YouTube. Let people know it because with you, we can grow and continue to bring you this awesome content.
Absolutely. Well said, Ryan. Thank you again for everything, bud. From everybody here at Side Draft Media, y'all have a wonderful night. Happy race weekend.